And hello and welcome everyone to the comic multiverse where the worlds of nerd meet. Finally, Matt, I'm doing this show in my brand new space on my brand new computer like I said I would. I'm very happy about it. And thank you too for the very generous fan who gave me such a generous donation on coffee. One guy pretty much made this all possible, and I appreciate that.
Nice, that's awesome.
Also, hey, I have that app, everyone, so go check that out if you want. There's a great stream I watch there called The Insiders, and they call all their fans pay pigs, which is obviously like a reference to like the cam girl fetish world. But I just think that's so hilarious to lovingly call your fans pay pigs. Yeah,
Yeah.
pay pigs, get your slop that is our content. You love it, don't you? I toyed around with the idea. Should I call the comic multiverse fans pay pigs? Probably not. I don't think it would go over as well. Yeah, yeah, eat our sloppy content, which, oh boy, Matt, do we got some sloppy content coming at them this week.
Oh boy, do we ever.
And I've been ready for this sloppy content. Where should we begin, Matt? I guess we should talk about our weeks. How's your week been?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's been really hot here, but also raining, so we get that like nice humidity, which
Ooh,
is always good.
I believe it's called the worst of both worlds.
Yes, yes, yeah. I believe it's just called living in Australia. Um, so I've been trying to keep out of the heat and keep up with my reviews and play some video games and whatnot.
Yeah. I've also been trying to do that. I've been playing some Prey on stream over on the Purple channel. I have to say Purple channel because if you say the word that starts with T and rhymes with itch, apparently YouTube can grab that out sometimes.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah, they don't like their competition, do they?
No, no, they don't.
And if they're not fucking up your ads, they're fucking up that.
Yeah,
I've also been playing some games. I regret to say I haven't beaten Kingdom Hearts yet. I'm very close. I've just been so busy I haven't had a chance to.
nice.
Also, too, that last little bit's a bit of a slog there. They really fetch quest you near the end.
Oh, that sucks.
That's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. Been trying to catch up on Umbrella Academy. I'm like 2.5 episodes in.
Oh, it's good, isn't it?
It's a good show. Very, very eclectic. Great soundtrack on it.
Yeah, I it took me like I knew what it was beforehand, but like it took me watching this to realize that it was written by the lead singer of My Chemical Romance.
I know, right? It's like, man, what underwhelming music, but damn, he's actually like a pretty
Yeah,
decent comic writer and shit.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad at all. Obviously, I caught the new episode of Doom Patrol. God damn, Doom Patrol is so good.
It how like I don't understand. And you know what's even better? The showrunners have said this isn't the same. This isn't Doom Patrol from Titans. This is a different
I heard.
continuity.
Thank you very
It
much. That's
that
all I.
stinks of like okay, people didn't really like Titans. We'll just say Doom Patrol's in a new continuity.
Oh, that's what it is. It's like, oh no, all these shows are supposed to be connected. Oh, you didn't like that? Oh, well, then it's not connected then.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, aren't some of the actors different so they can get away with that?
I yeah, well, the chief was a different actor,
Oops.
and I'm not too sure about it. I think it was Brendan Fraser voicing Robot Man in that, and the other girl, the Elasta woman, was the same. I think I can't remember.
Thank God they got Timothy Dalton though. He is just a fucking treasure.
He's so much better, so much better.
He's such a treasure, and he's the perfect actor for this role. If you know the Doom Patrol story and you know where they're going with this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the fact that they got an actor like Timothy Dalton is like, ooh, you're almost foreshadowing it.
It's even better as well because the show is really self-aware, especially Alan
Oh
Tudyk's
yeah.
Mr. Nobody, who calls out like Grant Morrison fans and angry trolls with the DC Universe account.
Oh, oh my God! The fact that that show is so self-aware, like it almost eclipses Deadpool in levels of
Oh yeah,
self-awareness. Like I didn't think a DC property could be this self-aware, and Doom Patrol is the right one.
it's absolutely a fantastic show. And they did.
That's
They even did themselves last episode by introducing animal, vegetable, mineral
vegetable mineral.
man. Like what the hell?
And then he looks exactly like he does on the cover of his like big premiere.
Yeah, yeah, you're ridiculous.
Stunning. Every bit about that show is stunning and great. Like it's like at the end of every episode, I'm like, how is this so
I know,
good?
right? I know. It gives me hope for the next couple of shows.
You know what it is? And we'll talk about that too. Shows that are coming next. It's like, oh my god, the people who made this show Red Doom Patrol.
They realized what made it good.
And like they get it, like they actually get Doom Patrol, which for me was always going to be the biggest problem. Where I'm like, boo, they're going to make a Doom Patrol show, but they're going to be like traditional superheroes, and they're going to be fighting crime, and it's going to be stupid, and that's not what they are. They get it. They're like, no, the Doom Patrol guys should not be superheroes. They bumblefuck their way into being superheroes every week.
Yeah, yeah, and even like Cyborg on that show is great. He's amazing.
They cracked the goddamn code on Cyborg, and that is he is the only adult in a room full of children. He is the only traditional hero with a group of people who want nothing to do with being a hero.
And what's even better is every now and then they throw in lines like, hey, go join Justice League. Why don't you join Justice League? And he's like, nah, man.
They're even throwing shade at the movie to where, like in the last episode, that redneck's like, "Hey, what's Batman like in real life? I don't know. I didn't meet him.
Yeah, I'm not meant to be part of that team."
Even Robot Man there's like, "Oh, I bet Aquaman could find those keys." To where like it's like 3 levels where they're like making fun of him, like, "Hey, Cyborg, remember you were the odd man out on the bad Justice League movie." Also, too, in this episode, we find out he has the robot chest. He's just always wearing people clothes over.
Yeah, when I saw that, I kind of wish they kept it zipped up because it does look pretty bad.
It does, and maybe.
But that might have been because he was sitting down, though.
That too. That also leads to a hilarious thing where it's like, wait, he's got his robot parts under, but he wears people clothes over it. Does that mean every time we've seen Cyborg and everything else, he's been naked? Cyborg just free-balling it out there for the world to see. He's not only a very prominent African-American superhero, he's a very prominent naturist superhero. You know, Cyborg campaigning for nudist rights.
He's the only one doing it.
Oh, that's a hero we need to write, Matt. We need to write the nudist superhero who fights crimes only in the nudist colonies and the nude beaches. Oh, protecting their identity is going to be a little rough, though, what with no clothes. They just wear a domino mask. Who could they be? They could be anyone. We don't know. But yeah, Doom Patrol is great. I started watching this new show on Netflix. I think it just came out today called Losers. Have you seen it?
I saw an ad for it, but I haven't watched it yet, no.
It's all of sports' most famous losers, and I think that's such a great idea because I don't give a shit about sports for the most part. Because it's just like, no, that's what I have comics for. That's my world. That's what I obsess over. I've watched 2 episodes of this, and this is great human drama. It's the story that I wish sports told more, but you don't get while watching. It's the stories that come later. But yeah. It's the greatest losers. They got the mismatched heavyweight champion who, you know, only won because his abusive father pushed him into it a bunch, but then lost. But that's okay because he became friends with Mickey Rourke.
Oh, nice.
As you do. And then they got like the English football team that kept almost getting defranchised every year. And so, you know, they fought harder than ever just to get to a tie just so they could stick around for another year. And they're the happiest any team has ever been for getting a tie ever in their life. It's great human drama. Even if you don't give a shit about sports, watch this because it's actually pretty fun.
Cool. That sounds good.
Good old Netflix content.
Yeah.
Now, I guess with that, we can hop into the actual real news, and there's some surprising topics here.
There are.
I guess the big one is that, you know, from the depths, from the shadows, from deep within the underground, the X-Men Dark Phoenix trailer clawed and scratched its way at the coffin roof before sitting up like the Undertaker. I'm not dead yet. And the internet collectively was like, no, but you are dead, though. Please go away.
No one except that weird little bunch on Twitter care for you. They released the trailer at like midnight because it was on like a talk show, but like it's a pretty bad time to release a trailer. Just kind of dump it out there.
It's almost like they want to get it over with. It's almost like they're hiding from it, like everyone just wants to move on.
And rightly so, because the movie looks like it's basically a remake of Last Stand.
Yeah. To a shocking degree.
Yeah,
Their Jean is wearing the same goddamn costume. Like, what's the point? You're just going to do it again.
There are scenes that are literally shot for shot remakes, like that scene where she crushes Magneto's helmet. That's probably the scene where Charles is gonna die or something, like he did in that movie.
They're in her old house. They're in all
Hmm.
these places. I'm like, these are literally scene for scenes. And it gets even more disturbing because, like, guys, you reshot this movie a bunch and reshuffled it, and it still looks like shit.
Yeah, yeah.
What were you doing? Who pocketed the money on this?
Yeah, they reshot it, and it was like substantial. It wasn't just few
Yeah.
pickups. It was like, I think they reshot the whole ending of the film.
Yeah, it was from the hey, we might keep the rights, we might get to keep doing these. To oh, we don't have the rights anymore. This is the last one. We better fucking finish this while we can.
Yeah, so it's gonna be packed in, and again, they well, it's kind of poetic because like X3 was like the death of like that series for a
Yep.
little bit, until they started trying to do them good again with like First Class, and then they fucked it up again, and now again X3, which is basically the same story told again in this film, is going to be the death of
Mm-hmm.
this franchise.
Yep. I guess the real moral of this is never make a third entry in an X-Men franchise,
But
unless it's Logan, in which case that's the
never
best
make a
one.
third entry in an X-Men film that's like a Phoenix storyline. For some reason, they just keep going back to that storyline. I don't know why.
Well, because it's one of the only ones people really know who don't read comics because they did it in the cartoon in like 12 parts and it was wonderful. But man, can we like commission or petition or whatever issue we have to do to get Jennifer Lawrence a brand new special award for brand new breakthroughs in not giving a fuck?
Oh,
Because
she clearly doesn't.
man, you thought she slept through the last two when she felt she was too good for this franchise anymore. Oh baby, oh you ain't seen nothing. Even in the trailer, it's just like, yep, we gotta do this now. Yeah, you see how shitty my makeup looks now. I couldn't even be bothered to sit in the chair
that
for six
that's
hours anymore.
That's what I've really liked about these films. You could like gauge like at First Class she was really into it because she went like kind of like the full body one, and
Yep,
then the next one they kind of like did the same sort of thing, but then she wasn't in it for a lot
way
of the
less in it.
film. Then was it Apocalypse after that? She's like, I'll just do my face, just
Yeah,
just
just
do
my
my
face.
face,
That's it.
and then this one's just like, oh, just put a blue filter over me.
Yeah, make me what is it? The genie from Aladdin. God, I have never seen a performer turn on a franchise so hard,
Well,
but they still keep inviting her back.
yeah, yeah, it's so strange. It's and she can't, admittedly be cheap
No,
either. So, yeah, why?
I mean we don't know what kind. I mean maybe it was one of those deals that when she was still starting out, before she was like an Academy Award winner and nominee, they probably signed her to a contract like, oh, here's a big six-movie deal.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And so yeah, so she comes back giving less of a fuck every time. And I'm sure she's like, yeah, well, fire me then. Oh, I have a bad attitude. Fire me then. I can literally buy my way out of this contract. I dare you to fire me. Okay. Well, then I will invent new ways to not give a fuck every day on script, man. But yeah, whew, Phoenix. I People aren't going to be mad when we skip this one, right? We can skip this one, fans. Everyone out there listening, we can skip this one and we'll
Oh,
watch it on DVD.
I'm gonna go see it just because I want to do a review on shitting on it. It's gonna
Because
be
that,
awful.
because like that's the thing too, where it's like if it's good, yeah, I mean it's probably not going to be good, but win, lose or draw, good or bad, even if it makes a lot of money, it doesn't matter because it's not theirs anymore.
No, no, it doesn't not matter. This is the film. They didn't even need to release this in cinemas. Just dump it on
No,
Netflix or something.
they really should have done that. And oh, here's the thing: it's like as pathetic as the Dark Phoenix situation is, at least they have trailers and at least they have a release date. New Mutants is just lost in the fucking ether. Where did that movie
Well, the thing
go?
is that's the thing. It's like it's still got reshoots to happen apparently, and there's talk it could just be relegated to just Disney Plus or just dumped out on Hulu or something.
Is this just the old masters now that they know before they have to hand the keys over to the mouse? They're like, we're gonna get every bit of money out of this as humanly possible.
And that's the shame because New Mutants actually look quite interesting.
If nothing else, it's like, well, okay, you're making a horror movie now. At least you're toying around with the genre, if nothing
Was
else.
well,
And
see, that was the thing though. The first trailer was apparently like the director's trailer, and then they like recut it because the people
yeah,
wanted to make it more like PG-13 superhero-y. But then they gave it back to him, and he wanted to make it more of a horror film. So it's just a
so
mismatch of shit.
so what you're saying is when they do eventually release it, we're gonna see a movie that's hacked to the bone. Wonderful. That's great. But hey, X-Men wasn't the only trailer that came out this week, Matt. We also had Hellboy.
Yeah, it was a much better trailer than that first one.
Yes. It looks fine, Hellboy. I'm sure if you're a much more hardcore fan of the comic, you probably enjoyed this because it actually looks to take itself more seriously, where the Guillermo del Toro movies were kind of, reveling in the, kind of mad monster partyness of it, the inherent hilarity of Hellboy, which is there in Mignola's work too, but it's not nearly as,
Hmm.
stated as it is in his work. Also, this one's going to have like a harder rating. Like this one's actually going to be R.
Yeah, that actually surprised me because I was worried they announced it was going to be like harder edge, but I think that's going to be a Venom situation where the actual movie is going to be PG-13. But yeah, it got an R rating.
I mean, to its credit, at least that does differentiate it from the other two, and at least it does make it different enough as to justify its existence. Or it's like, yeah, but we're R though. We want to try and shoot for the Deadpool Logan demographic.
Yeah, yeah. The one thing that really like intrigued me about it was as well as like all the stuff that we'd seen in like Hellboy books, like the Baba Yaga house and his leopard changing werewolf partner,
Yeah.
uh, who we got. We get like very like Lovecraftian monster design, especially in like these tall things that are like destroying London. They look awesome.
Yeah. I guess I can appreciate it too. It's funny. I remember the original trailer for this came out when we saw it, also alongside that new Men in Black trailer, and it's like,
Mhm.
man, these look very similar, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, they do. Or they both take
That's
place in London, I think.
that's the crossover we really need. Hellboy versus Men in Black. Hey, we take care of the monsters, you take care of the aliens. But what if there's monsters from space? And then whose jurisdiction is that?
That'd actually be pretty cool. Way better than that 21 Jump Street uh,
Oh,
Men in
thinking
Black crossover. What the fuck was that?
again, a studio executive felt comfortable enough to say that out loud. Let's cross over
In an
21 Jump.
email to
Yeah,
multiple
in Men in Black.
people.
It's like, Matt, we think we think the bullshit we come up with on this show that we could never actually be big time movie executives. Apparently we can. Apparently our bullshit
Yeah.
just back and forth sessions. Apparently that could get us a job at any of these studios.
We're overqualified, if anything.
If anything, sometimes our ideas are good. But what about an Aunt May period piece? That's what the people really want.
Yeah, they
That's a
really like
terrible.
the art, May. The figures will sell well.
There's got to be a bunch of Aunt May figures, right? I would assume.
I would think, like for Raimi Spider Man, the old woman one.
Yeah, old woman figure. And hey, speaking of things that we often say here, things that occasionally go viral. Did you hear, Matt? And I almost didn't put this on the list because this story so enraged me because it had at least 12 dozen different people send it to me and trying to get my opinion. But did you know, Matt, that a stupid clickbaity website that only writes stupid clickbaity articles and bears no name repeating here on this show did a stupid clickbaity article about the possibility of Disney shutting down Marvel Comics, and everyone talked about it this week because apparently it was the slowest goddamn news day in friggin' creation.
I did see that. I never clicked on the article because I knew it was going to be
No,
fucking
because
stupid. But
why
like,
would
just like the mental gymnastics that people are going through just to make Marvel and that look bad, but also like to demonize Disney as like this conglomerate that's eating everything up and just closing everything down. Like, why would they do that to something that's probably arguably going to bring in more money than everything else they own?
just yeah, just again, if you believe that, and especially if you tweeted that to me, we need to have words, Mister. You're grounded. But seriously, yeah, fuck that website. Fuck this piece of news. Just fuck it all over the damn
Just
place. Seriously.
where did it even come from? Like,
Some Jagoff's Tumblr apparently, like some fucking word
oh,
dog.
Tumblr, the bastion of
Yeah.
knowledge.
Again, I don't actually know if it was something similar. You know what it was? I often say this joke. It was a source close to my butthole that I pulled out. A source close to my butthole says. And honestly, I wrote this on Twitter too. I'm slightly offended because Matt and I make up crazy bullshit all the time, and it never goes viral. And Joe Quesada doesn't have to step out on a meeting at South by Southwest to be like, no. He did that actually. He eventually, a couple days later, came out and rebuffed it as you thought he would. And his, like, you could literally hear the disdain in the quote, like if you could actually feel it generating from your computer screen. His words were basically like, really, is it that slow a news day?
He's not wrong, Larry. He's not wrong.
No, it's like, I have a job to do. I'm at South by Southwest. My email is blowing up. I had to come out here and talk about this. What was the website again? Fuck that website. Which, and the fact too that some of the bigger websites too actually picked up on this, I think, is a very sad indictment of the current state of comic journalism online, where they're like, well, this is clearly wrong, and we know it's wrong, but why are we going to let them get all the hits?
Yeah, we want some money this month.
Yeah, we want some hits. We're probably not making that much, sadly. And hey, for as much shit as you can fling at, like Bleeding Cool and comic book resources and everything, they occasionally get it right, is the thing. Like, there's the reason they're the Coke and Pepsi of comic book / geek news online. They occasionally get it right, unlike this site they're quoting from that's never gotten anything right and will never get anything right.
Yeah.
And maybe the reason too, Matt, that our crazy nonsense bollocks doesn't get picked up and run with and like treated as an actual story is that maybe we're a little too positive and a little too uplifting and a little too not agenda driven. Maybe that's why too. I'm sure if we played into someone's crazy conspiracy theory, I'm sure maybe we'd get picked up then.
Oh, I'm sure, definitely.
Did you know Donny Cates does blood sacrifices to make him a better comic writer? Did you know Tom King sleeps in an oxygen bed that he thinks gives him pretension powers? Did you know that? Did you know Brian Michael Bendis burns copies of... I don't fucking know where I'm going with this.
he burns comics that are well liked that aren't his.
No, you know what he does? He takes old Superman comics that he bought on eBay, rolls them into joints, and then smokes them. You can't prove it's wrong.
He takes them out of the clamshell grading cases and rips the pages out and uses them as smoking rolls.
Which he can do with his $30,000 an issue salary. He's the most highly paid man in comics, and this is the only thing that can help him get an erection anymore. Smoking comic joints. You notice how he isn't out there denying that he's doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, internet. Where's my viral article? Come on. I'll wait. I will wait right here until that goes viral. Any day now.
There'll be some groups out there that probably believe that sort of shit.
The comic multiverse on strike until we get a viral article. I thought of this too. I'm like, has anything I've ever said or anything we've ever done collectively or as part of other groups ever gone viral? Yes, actually. When we worked at Name Redacted, the person in charge of Name Redacted pulled a story very close to their own butthole about the dude from Dexter possibly getting cast as Daredevil in that upcoming Daredevil show before it was Charlie Cox, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Websites did run with that. That was a thing. Do you remember that?
Vaguely. Yes, that was a while ago.
Happened. That's the one time Name Redacted ever got put into things.
I remember one time I put out a I did like a fake font for, I think it was like a Spider-Man film, and everyone thought it was real.
I remember this. Yes, that did happen. Also, too, maybe the other reasons that other big websites didn't run with stuff from Name Redacted is that, Name Redacted was known for fighting with other big comic book websites, so maybe those bridges were burnt even if they were right.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, that's one to grow on. That's one to think about. But yeah, that's your stupid article news, everyone. There, I fucking talked about it. Are you happy now?
Yeah, we talked about it. We don't want to talk about it anymore.
No, and again, you're not going to hear about this till next week or until Wednesday. So this is going to be old ass news by the time it comes here. But there, I talked about it. But hey, from that to a story that I'm actually kind of interested about, and a story that came out around the same time and sadly got eclipsed, and that is, hey. There might be a new Venom event coming soon, spinning out of the pages of Donny Cates' Venom, and it really only makes sense.
Yeah, I could see that coming. I saw like the artwork for it as well.
It's basically everyone in the Marvel Universe drowning in symbiotes, which makes sense because they've set up Null and the Abyss and everything else as these huge like universe-ending threats. and then gone a step further to be like, yeah, Carnage is going to try and hunt down everyone who's ever owned a symbiote, because if he can get a little piece of the symbiote then imprinted on them, he can access their power more or less, or at least
Yeah.
access their costume and turn into them.
Yeah, yeah. So I imagine that that's going to be have. Did that artwork have a date on it? I can't remember.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, so this will probably be happening after War of Realms.
Yeah, it didn't even have a title.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, you know what, normally I would be super like cynical about a Venom event because I'm like, Venom Inc. Did we need that? Venomized. Did we need that? The answer was no, we didn't. But Donny Cates' Venom is great, and this is such a cool concept that really deserves more crossovers.
Yeah.
Think how many characters in the Marvel universe have had a symbiote on them.
Yeah, heaps.
So it's gonna be really good.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, as you said, like he's been writing like a really great Venom book, so why not?
Yeah, give him an event. Why not? What I'll really be looking forward to is when that book inevitably crosses over with Guardians of the Galaxy, because when Bendis was writing Guardians of the Galaxy, basically the entire team got the symbiote on them.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting, especially since Chip Zdarsky's writing that at the moment. So that'd be an interesting like combination of like him and Donny Cates.
Yeah, wait, I thought Cates was also writing Guardians.
What was Chip Zdarsky? Maybe I'm thinking he's probably writing that. Yeah, I'm probably thinking Chip Zdarsky of something else. I think maybe because I read his Daredevil recently or something.
There you go. I haven't read that yet this week. I breezed through it. Looked really good.
I think I might have messed that up because Chip Zdarsky did that really good Star-Lord book.
Also that. Oh, yes, he wrote a bunch of good Guardians books. Hey,
yeah.
Speaking of Daredevil, this has nothing to do with anything, but someone pointed this out to me, and now I cannot unsee it.
What's that?
Daredevil's new costume, which is not a new costume at all. It's the thing he always wears, the red. But he's doing something new that he's never done before. He's tucking his pants into his boots, where before usually it would go over.
Yep.
Again, someone pointed this out to me, and now I just can't not see it, that he's tucking his pants in now for the first time ever. And I'm like, yeah, he is.
Well, he's doing things, but he's going to be that's big wild, That's the sign that he's, abusing his drugs, He's tucking his pants. That's where he keeps his drugs. He's got to keep the pants in so the drugs stay in.
I keep my opioids in here so they don't fall out. Nom, nom, nom.
Exactly.
It's a good look. It actually looks more ninja-ish, actually, because he's got kind of like the puff going over it. I'm like, oh, is he starting a new pants trend when Wolverine eventually comes back and gets a costume? Will he also be tucking his pants in now? Will Cap tuck his pants in now, too? Because, Cap has the fringes sometimes around them, and I wonder, is he going to ditch the fringes but then tuck the pants into the fringes? It's called the tuck. It's the hot new thing taking the Marvel superhero scene by storm. Everyone's tucking now. But yeah, so that's the Venom news. Here's a story I don't get to talk to very much, but it is a nice segue because we were talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. Dave Bautista, of course, plays Drax. Very vocal about the state of Guardians 3 right now. The poor state, I think we could call it. We haven't heard any news about it. And what we have heard about it is other directors, when they're asked about it, like, oh, would you take this? And they're like, no, James Gunn should do it.
Yeah. No, we're not going to touch it.
Basically, every big director in Hollywood, everyone in the Marvel system has, kind of heartwarmingly gathered around Gunn, and they're like, no, he got screwed. He got AstroTurf. He shouldn't have to not make the third one. But here is actually a very interesting development in this story from the last place you would expect. So obviously, I know you don't watch wrestling, Matt.
No.
Obviously, but Dave Bautista quite famously started as a wrestler. And because he's a big celebrity or a big wrestler turned celebrity like The Rock and like Hogan before them, the question is always like, oh, when are you going to come back? Because you always come back to the business. You always pay it forward and everything. And Bautista for the longest time was like, well, I'm too busy is the thing, or they might not want me back because there's a bit of bad blood over how my last run ended, how they basically had to turn me into a bad guy because the crowd was so against me because they loved Daniel Bryan so much, and I kind of hijacked that. But so he actually came back like last week. Like he finally came back.
Yeah, I did see something about that.
Which they're kicking off this big brand new angle for WrestleMania. Basically, he beat up 70-year-old Ric Flair.
Oh no!
Yeah. Yeah, he beat up an old man. He beat up the dirtiest player in the game. And then he challenged Triple H, who's like the like in real life son-in-law of the dude who runs the company, and they were both like they were in a gang together back in the day on TV. And so he's like, "No, I'm the only one you never beat, Triple H. You gotta fight me at WrestleMania." And it's like, is he allowed to do that? He seems to just come back and assaulted an old man. Is he allowed to make this up? And the answer is it's wrestling. You don't have to think about it. But why this is interesting is that, again, for the longest time, Bautista said, I don't have the time for it. I wouldn't be able to come back and do it even if I wanted to. I wouldn't be able to commit to a big, long WrestleMania story program. Now he is, which means Guardians 3 probably isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, it's probably in development hell now.
That he felt confident enough to take this, probably because it was one for his bucket list, and also because, hey, with no Guardians, you know, a nice safe paycheck would be good. A nice big WrestleMania paycheck would be good.
Yep.
So there you go, everyone. There, we talked about wrestling and we talked about Guardians all in the same time. And while I'm happy to see Bautista back, at the same time, I'm like, oh, that means we're not going to be seeing Drax for a long time, are we?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Again, my hope is they're just playing the waiting game, where it's like, look, let's just wait to the people who made that boneheaded decision to either leave, be transferred, or fired, and then we can have it come back, hopefully when the heat has died down.
Yeah, and they're probably also hoping the heat like dies down like in social media and everything, so they can just like bring it back.
Yeah, like even just bring them back stealthy. Again, you know, I think people would be divided if they brought James Gunn back, but I think more people would be happy overall.
Yeah.
And the cast would be happy too.
Which is important.
Which is very important for this kind of thing. And hey, you know, speaking of Marvel projects and speaking of, you know, cosmic projects, we got a little more news on the Eternals, which again, they're apparently still developing the Eternals, and that's still going to be a thing.
Yeah, apparently it's like quite far along in production as well, like considering like the type of movie it is.
Yeah, most definitely. And the big piece of news we got here is apparently Disney is weighing their options, and they're actually looking into maybe trying to get a gay male lead for the movie, which of course had people scratching their heads, and they're like, is the leader of the Eternals gay? I don't know anything about the Eternals, and even me as a comic fan is like, don't look at me, I don't know anything about the Eternals.
I don't know either, and as well, I don't care. Like,
no.
That's, you know, that doesn't make him an Eternal or anything like that doesn't really have any bearing on his character as an Eternal, so it doesn't matter.
The story, no, it really shouldn't. And then the story took on another angle to where I'm like, ooh, this is kind of interesting. They're like, well, what if the guy they're looking for the Eternals isn't actually any of the guys you know, but if they're using this movie as like a backdoor to try and get Hercules made?
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Hercules is pretty great. We here at the Comic Multiverse are a big damn fan of Hercules. He's doing great in, what is it, Avengers No Road Home right now. And hey, if they don't feel strong enough in the actual cast of the Eternals, slapping Hercules on there and being like, yeah, he's our guy now.
I'd be okay with that.
Not only is that fine, but that's good future-proofing too, because it's like, hey, here's a guy who could be a very viable Thor replacement if, say, Chris Hemsworth doesn't want to do these anymore.
Definitely.
Or becomes too expensive, where it's like, hey, you want your fantasy muscle man who punches guys in cool pantheons? Well, let me tell you about Hercules, man. He does basically all the same things as Thor, and he's even dumber, and it's great. He's even more of a bro. You'll love him.
And you can have him living in Astoria, Queens, and just helping people in New York and around America. It'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This also reminded me, too, where it's like, hey, where are the Eternals right now in Marvel, Marvel stories? Aaron killed them all in, the first arc of his Avengers.
Yeah, they all died.
They did, which seems very strange, because it seems like, no, don't kill the Eternals. We have plans for them.
Yeah, well, he comic book killed them.
He comic book killed them. That way they can make a big deal of, like, oh, the return of the Eternal.
Yeah.
Also, Eternal, you really don't live up to your name by dying. You weren't around forever. You're the semi-Eternals. Actually, that'd be great if they come back where it's like, oh, the Eternals, you're alive again. Yeah, did you not hear our name?
We never really actually died.
Yeah, not for long. But yeah, that's some Marvel news here, and I guess our last piece here, which actually kind of dovetails off everything we were talking about with Doom Patrol, but we got our very first look at some behind the scenes for the upcoming Swamp Thing show, which is going to be next.
Yeah, looks very cool.
It's a creepy swamp at night, which means you're halfway there when telling a Swamp Thing story.
I'm intrigued. The only thing that has me worried is the director, who's Len Wiseman, who directed that awful Total Recall remake. He made all those Underworld films.
Yeah, he did.
So, pretty director.
Resume. But I mean, too, it's like, hey, Greg Berlanti still technically produces all of these, and he did that really terrible Green Lantern movie. And I think he's redeemed himself once or twice. So we'll give Len the chance to redeem himself here.
Yeah, I'm interested in, especially after Doom Patrol. I'm interested to see what all these shows are like.
Mm-hmm. And again, those Underworld movies, for as silly and cheesy as they were, and as just a chance it was for like the director and his wife to play cosplay dress up for a little bit, they had some cool monsters and some cool effects.
Yeah, practical effects, yeah.
Very, which I would like to see for a Swamp Thing type show. Also, hey, can we get Kevin Garreau involved? Because I know they're friends, and like Garreau writes comics and is a super nerd. So like, can we get him involved?
Hopefully.
Oh, Garreau should be Swamp Thing. He should be the voice of Swamp Thing.
That'd be pretty cool.
Because he's got like a deep, booming voice. I think that would be really great. He doesn't have
I wonder who they'll get. I wonder if they'll get, because I know they cast the guy who's playing Alec Holland.
Right.
I wonder if they'll get him to voice it or whether they'll get someone else to voice it.
I think it would be fun to get someone else to voice it. That way you really showcase like the Hulk banner thing where it's like, no, we are two separate entities.
That'd be pretty cool, yeah.
That is if they want to take that, because that's the fun thing about Swamp Thing. Writers all have their own interpretation of how that relationship works. Some people are like, no, they are two diametrically opposed individuals. Some people are like, no, Holland becomes Swamp Thing. And then some people are like, no, Holland fucking died, man. Swamp Thing just thought he was Holland, but he actually wasn't.
I like the idea of them both being two separate, like Holland is in the mind of Swamp Thing now, Yeah. I like that idea, kind of like a Firestorm situation.
Yeah. Also, too, I mean, if you want the show to go for a long time, you could explore and do all of these if you wanted.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad, too, considering how good these new app shows have been, that Constantine is still on television, even though he's great on Legends of Tomorrow. Man, in a perfect world, they should have launched Constantine in the Swamp Thing show. I think that would have been really fun.
Oh, it would have been great. It could happen, it might have to be a different actor, but yeah, it could happen.
I mean, shit, get the guy from the... Would anyone care if he showed up? Would be like,
No.
Oh, this is breaking continuity. What universe? And it's like, no, it's the thing I like and the other thing I like.
Yeah, you could definitely do it.
I wonder, too, what they're going to go for villains for Swamp Thing. Obviously, you got to get Anton Arcane in there. I wonder if they would start with him or they would start with something lower.
I think they might have cast him.
Right. Okay.
I don't know whether he probably won't be a villain to begin with. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not too familiar with Swamp Thing villains.
Again, it's Arcane, and then like that's the only one people really know. Again,
I mean, you could pit him against like the like pillars of like the green, the red, and all those sorts of things.
I was wondering that. I'm like, are they going to go the Snyder New 52 version again, where they talk about the green and the red and everything, or are they going to stick to like the Moore type situation for him, where it's like, no, I am a demigod.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting. Maybe they could do both, really.
Yeah, I am an elemental. Ooh, if they can't start Constantine on there, you know who would be great to actually start there? Maybe not in season 1, but like season 2. Get Buddy Baker, the Animal Man, in there.
Oh, yes, he's perfect.
And then you spin Animal Man off into his own show. Shit, you already got one Morrison-inspired thing doing great. Hey, he wrote other shit that's really good, too. So, yeah, that's it for news, everyone. Not a bad offering, all things considered.
No, yeah.
And with that, we can hop on in over to what we read this week. And it was a fairly large week with some really high points and some very low points.
Very low points.
But it is what it is. Where would you like to start, Matt?
Well, I think you know where we want to start.
Heroes in Crisis?
Heroes in Crisis.
Or as I think this issue 6 shall forever be known as, get off the couch, you fucking nerds. What have you ever done? The most bitter, angry, combative issue of an event I've read in a very long time.
Oh my god, this is like Like the marching orders for this issue was like, remind everyone that Rebirth was bad. Like, we didn't like Rebirth, or I didn't like Rebirth. This is Dan Didio talking.
Yes,
I didn't like it, so tell everyone that.
And not only that, if you do like Rebirth, then you are Cave Boy. You are
Mhm.
living in the past, and the past sucked and isn't as good as you remember. You should be living in the here and now, where Tom King is writing, and you should show him the utmost respect all the time.
Yeah, yeah, all his stuff is good, and only his stuff is good. So you should
And
only
if
read his stuff.
and if you're complaining, as Arsenal says at the end, what have you ever done with your life? Get off the couch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And at the end, yeah, they say like, yeah, saving people doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. People die anyway. What's the point?
Well, that's Tattoo Man who's saying that, who's a villain, so I kind of give him a pass on that. But even
Still.
just what fucking nihilism right there. So it doesn't matter who you save. If you save someone else will just
Yeah.
die anyway.
Yes.
It's all bullshit. It's all stupid.
So let's just actually talk about this show. We're like, with 3 issues till the end. We've got 3 issues left of this series. We don't know what's happening still.
No, who is the main character? Who is the POV of this? Who are we supposed to root for?
I don't know who the main character was, because the characters would jump between 3 characters every fucking page.
Yeah, it can't be Wally, because he might be a murderer and he's dead himself. So
And he might be an
alternate.
alternate Wally because he's from the future.
Potentially. Again, they're throwing a lot of stuff here. So yeah, I'll tell you the thing that really messed with me. So Harley Quinn is in this story. We actually follow her a little bit. Turns out she's not actually a patient of Sanctuary, or she was, but she wasn't this time because she was doing the interview segments.
That's what really fucked me up, because like the first time we see her, she's talking with Pamela, who was dead last issue but isn't here, but this issue was after, because she talks about Superman, Wonder Woman, and all that hunting her. So she's alive. And she was in Sanctuary too, but she died. But then after that, it cuts back to the before she died, and Harley's just like killing Jokers as a form of therapy. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, you see, Matt, everyone in this story is an unreliable narrator, which means if you've actually been trying to follow the mystery and look for clues, just you, because it didn't matter, because no one's actually seeing what's there anyway. And I bet you $100 this series will end with Batman or somebody explaining to the audience, and this is what actually happened.
Well, see, the thing is, none of this is real. As again, unreliable narrator. It has to have been. Was it in the first issue where Superman finds Wally and he finds like that thing he's clutching with Wally, and it has to be that one because Superman found them. He isn't part of any of this sort of stuff, so it has to be that. It can't be any of these. So this is all just, wasting time.
Yeah.
Like,
well, no, not wasting time. It's flipping off the audience is what it is. It's we needed extra issues because Didio and King really needed to tell you to jog on.
yeah, that's exactly what this issue was.
It really is, and to the point where it's like recreating images and moments that people loved from DC Rebirth, like Wally coming back, and what a beautiful, sweet moment that was. Only now King stays on this for 10 minutes longer and has Flash say the dumbest, most on-the-nose thing. You're back, Wally. The hope is back. Because obviously Jeff Johns in interviews had said, the return of Wally West signaled the return of hope to the DC universe.
Yeah.
Johns didn't write that in his story, though, because, he's mastered a little thing called subtlety.
Yeah, it was in those pages you could tell, hope is back. It doesn't need to be said.
Yeah, but here he says it, and then really twists your nips a little bit there by having Wally go, but where's my family, Barry? I'm sad now. Are you sad now, Barry? Can we all be sad now? Which, tell me the problem with this, Matt. You brought this up on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, he didn't know about any of this until Flash War.
No, he did not. Which, again, it's like, well, maybe King is being artistic. He's making a statement about depression, that when you have depression, even your happy moments are colored gray because of that. But it wasn't, though. He was happy then, though, and he wasn't depressed then either.
Yeah. And then the thing is, it poises that, that might have been a simulation, but then it might not have been. It might have been his actual memory of of what happened. But
Yeah.
then it might also have been just a simulation again. What the
What
fuck?
what you what you need to know is that all the moments you really enjoyed of Rebirth, with Wally coming back, rejoining the Teen Titans, meeting pre-Flashpoint Superman and everything, which were these really like life-affirming, like feel-good, heartwarming
Yeah.
moments for you as a comic fan. What you need to know is he was very sad the whole time. He was really sad, and those moments weren't happy. They were sad, and your emotions you felt were wrong.
Yeah, you were wrong in thinking they were happy.
Which again, that is such bad retconning, because a good retcon says no, 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 even if things don't happen exactly as you remember them happening, even if there was a little more here, a little more there, your emotions were always valid, is the thing.
Hmm.
What you felt at that time was true.
Yeah.
Case in point, Venom just recently, which Donny Cates caught a lot of hell with by saying, oh, the sister and uncle that Eddie talked about, they weren't real. Yeah, they
Hmm.
weren't real, but the emotions you felt with those characters were still real and
Yeah, he
valid.
didn't go to a point saying no, they weren't real, and what you felt for them is wrong. You should not
Yeah,
have felt for them. This is what this
yeah.
book does.
This is Tom King as a writer literally telling you how you should feel
Yeah.
in these situations. Well, also, again, weirdly being super defensive and angry about DC Rebirth, and it's like, DC, you did that. You needed to do it after you shit the bed with DCU and no one
Yeah.
liked it. You're like, well, fine, we'll just give you back everything you wanted.
Yeah.
And it was wildly successful, and you got great reviews and critical praise, and people loved you. Why are you mad about it now?
It's it is so strange. It is absolutely so strange.
And again, like, we can meta read this one to death. Either, Tom King didn't know what he was doing and didn't know what he was saying, because he is a strange robot man sometimes who doesn't fully grasp emotions, or that his words have meaning. That could be one. Or again, this could be Dan DiDio over his shoulder being like, I hate what Johns did.
Yeah.
As he often does, Dan DiDio. Like, again, this is the guy who's
Hmm.
like, friggin' whatchamacallit, Countdown to Infinite Crisis was 52 done right, and I hate Nightwing because he makes me feel old.
I like Rick Grayson. He's better.
Yeah, I like Rick Grayson better. No, I don't read the book. Why would I do that? But again, it just felt so weird and icky. And like, if I didn't devote so much time to covering this one and reading it and reviewing it and paying for it every week and anything, this would have been the one that made me drop it. If I was just a casual fan and didn't do this professionally as a critic, and because if people didn't ask me for it, if it wasn't one of the big things happening at DC right now, this is I would have tapped out at this one. I'd be like, all right, you don't want me here, and I don't want to be here, so.
Yeah, yeah, and and again, like every time an issue comes out, he has to come out and explain it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you're a writer, you do this for a living, like you shouldn't have to do that. Like your words on the pages in this book
Should
should explain itself.
I think this will ultimately be the legacy of Tom King, the really great vision, the really great Mr. Miracle, and having to explain himself on Twitter more than just about any writer working.
I Yeah, it's mind-boggling, absolutely,
And he
and
get
people still defend it.
oh yeah, no doubt. Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I don't understand it, so it must be smart.
Yeah, well, I did see a really long explanation for it, and I like read it all, and it was a really good explanation, and I appreciate that. But then I'm like, oh, so I would have to have experienced all of this to
Mm.
understand the book. So then I'm one of a very few number of people who would have experienced all of this and then understand it. So that cuts out all like people who haven't experienced those sorts of things.
That's the new go-to now. It's like, well, if you've never suffered with mental illness, you'll never
Yeah.
truly understand this. To which, hey, you know what? I rebuff that as someone who has had a lot of mental illness in my own family. It doesn't start and end at depression, Tom King. I
Yeah.
know you think it does for you, but there's a myriad of other things when it
Yeah.
comes to mental illness. There's chemical imbalance. There's no personality disorders. There's, friggin' thyroid issues and anything else there. But no, for Tom King, because Tom King can only write himself, because he writes himself in everything.
Hmm.
Vision was him, Mr. Miracle was him, Batman is kind of him, but not really.
Hmm.
Again, he can only write for himself, and he can only talk about his own depression, and he
Yeah.
can only put his own issues on the character, which therapeutic, I guess, but it's like, okay, Tom, you've done it every time
Yeah,
now.
every one of your stories is about this. Maybe find something else to write about. Find something that's related to that, but is good. Is
It's like, again, it's like, it's like seeing a band where it's like, oh man, I really like that song. Okay, you're only playing that song. Learn a new song.
Yeah, you keep playing it and you're seemingly getting worse at it.
Yeah, you're getting worse at it, which again, I think he's getting worse at it because I think like actual criticism like this is seeping into him, but it's seeping into him in a weird
In the
way.
wrong way. Instead, it was
Yeah,
like, no, well, they're wrong. They don't understand it. I'm just
it's
gonna
it's
keep
it's
writing it.
it's not only that, he thinks we're wrong, the people who criticize him and the people who give him bad reviews and the people who I'm sure tweet him. It's not only that we're wrong, but we're too dumb to get his genius is the thing. So I noticed in the last little bit, both in Batman and in this, he's gotten into a terrible habit of over explaining himself now, where
Mm-hmm.
before he never did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perfect example, Cave Boy. It's like, oh, I am Cave Boy, speak broken English, even though he didn't when Abnett brought him back, actually. So that's another thing he got wrong. But Cave Boy speak in broken English, but also quote great literary minds
I
like
hated
Plato.
that cliche so much. I hate that cliche so fucking much.
Well, it's even more than a cliche because he does it, and then Cave Boy has to tell you that he's quoting
Yeah.
Keats and that he's quoting Plato and the great thinkers, and I'm like, oh, well then what's the point if you're just going to tell me who he's quoting then?
Just
then,
say it.
then
We'd understand it if you just said it.
yeah, I know we're lowly comic fans and you think we haven't read any actual books in our life, but we actually have. And again, too, Tom King like 2 years ago wouldn't have done this. There's a great example in probably my one of my favorite Tom King stories, if not my favorite. It's that one shot annual he did with Swamp Thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's a scene
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that and there's a scene in that book that is so genius and so perfect and so like artistic and literary if you know what he's talking about. It's Batman and Swamp Thing go to confront Headhunter
Mm-hmm.
of all people, and I fucking love that it was Headhunter. He's one of my favorite D-list bad guys. And Headhunter, he's sitting there and he's at an art gallery and he's looking at a painting. And if you know that painting and who that belongs to, he's talking about the savagery of nature and how it can quickly change and everything. I'm like, the painting is talking about Swamp Thing, who will savagely change in a moment, and Batman will be totally taken by surprise. I'm like, oh, that's good and that's smart and that's clever and I know what you're doing. Or even in I Am Bane, when Maxius Zeus, the villain who thinks he's Zeus, is talking. He becomes the Greek choir for that very issue. The Greek villain becomes a Greek choir as Batman works his way through Arkham. I'm like, that's very smart and very clever and very literary. That was back when Tom King felt he didn't have to explain himself. If he were to do those things today, he would stop and explain, this is what this painting means, and this is what a Greek chorus is.
Yeah. Batman or like Alfred in Batman's ear would be like, oh, that's this painting. It means this, and this.
Yeah. So he's
Yeah.
he's actually he's gotten worse because he thinks comic fans are dumb.
Yeah.
That he has to stop and explain himself. But yeah, this was not a good issue. This was not a fun issue. Can this be over, please?
Yeah, and still the thing is as well, like it, as I said in my review, it's dropped on because Tom King doesn't find them interesting anymore. It like all the plot points of like who are did the robots go rogue? Like the robot helpers, the puddlers, or whatever.
Who are the puddlers?
Yeah, who are they? Like who sent Lois the videos? Who is recording stuff in? Is it Batman? Is it like some unknown program? Like all of this stuff that needs to be explained isn't. It's got 3 issues left, and I guarantee you it's not. Or if it is, it's going to be like, it was this thing.
We'll jam it all at the end, or maybe Bane did it because Bane seems to be behind everything.
Yeah,
Tom King is writing.
I saw one thing, and if this ends up happening, I'm going to be so fucking mad. Someone said like, Wally's. All of Wally's grief, the amount of grief he has, broke the AI systems in Sanctuary, and it turned everything rogue, and it made everything kill everyone.
So what you're saying is he was so sad.
So what you say? Rebirth killed everything.
Yeah, he was so sad that the robots got sad, and that drove them crazy, and they had to kill everyone.
I saw that, and I'm like, That's so stupid. I could see that actually happening and it being some like profound moment or something.
Well, again, too, in the original story leaks for this, it was said that it was Reverse Flash behind all of this. Now that
Which
we're
doesn't make
like,
any fucking sense.
no, unless he comes in at the 11th hour. And also, we're so close to the end now. I'm like, maybe it was supposed to be Reverse Flash at one point, and that's why they changed it, and that's why the mystery makes no sense anymore.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, this story. I reckon it's not even that. And I reckon it's something even else. Like they have to just keep changing. Like people keep guessing it and going, "Oh fuck, we got to do." No, it'll be this. No, it'll be. What's Maxwell Lord up to? It'll be him, or it'll,
Yeah,
you know, some
it
random shit.
was Kite Man.
Oh god. Oh god. This is what he's been building up to with Kite Man.
It was all. This is his great revenge against
Oh fuck.
Batman. Fucking Kite Man.
Oh
I
jeez.
would almost respect the
Yeah.
balls it would take to do that.
I'd be. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. And I'd be like, all right, Tom King, you are a king. Here is your crown of trolldom for making it Kite Man. But yeah, that was Heroes in Crisis, man. As much as I'm not enjoying it, I do enjoy talking about it with Matt, and I do enjoy dissecting it. And I'm glad to say, in my own fan base, a lot of people agree that mental illness should have been shown a lot more respect, and maybe shouldn't have been
Oh,
the topic for a big like summer
oh,
blockbuster.
should have actually been shown because ever since that first issue, it's kind of like not there.
No,
Yeah, and
no.
like maybe show like because we just like we kept hearing about Sanctuary before, and like well, people obviously have been through it. Maybe show us those people who have been through it.
Yeah, has this place helped anybody? And I know to say has it cured anyone is like a bit of a thing that you don't want to bring into mental illness because it's a daily battle and it never ends.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, at least show one person that it helped.
yeah. I really don't understand it.
Well, because that's the thing too. It's like, does Tom King feel that he's been helped with his mental illness and with his depression and everything? Does he feel helped? Because if he doesn't feel helped, he ain't gonna write about it.
Yeah, it's kind of telling, a little bit.
And I mean, again, which I can only take from his other work, Vision and Mr. Miracle. Man feels sad, big strong woman make him feel better.
Yeah,
Is that gonna happen at some point in this?
is it where he Big Barda's got to come in and make everything better?
Make everyone. I'd be fine with that. That's okay.
Yeah.
I like Big Barda. I can accept that. She just helps everybody. Which again, not to crap on the man, because again, that's soul-bearing stuff. That's why Vision was so good. That's why Mr. Miracle was so good, because this is clearly the dude writing from his heart, and this is something that happened to him, and he clearly loves his wife very much, and that's why he keeps writing her into everything.
Yeah, that stuff is good, but like, where is that in here? Like, where is any of that in this, or even like his Batman book?
Again, we joked before. It's like, man, his like 12-issue miniseries are great. His Batman, he makes a lot of first-timer mistakes. Well, yeah, obviously, because this is the first longest run he's ever done. Maybe they called him up to Batman too quick, and on top of that, maybe a guy who's only been writing comics for such a short amount of time shouldn't have been the guy to write your big event.
Well, not only that, like even like the thing where he's like, oh, he does well in small events, like kind of loses that in Heroes in Crisis because that's shorter than like Mr. Miracle and all of them. So really, if he should be doing well on it, if he writes only in small. Yeah, but I've noticed like Mr. Miracle and all that, they're like sort of fringe characters, whereas these events, Batman's a big character. He's got like Flash and Superman and all that in these other books. So like maybe that's where he has a fault, where he has characters who have like a long history and like not like much wiggle room that you could do stuff with.
You can play fast and loose with Vision and Mr. Miracle, and I'm not going to call you on it because I don't know them near as well. I'll call you on Harley for sure. That bit ticked me off as a fan of the Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti run, where it's like, oh, and Harley needs to get over her Joker problems by punching holographic Joker. I'm like, she punched real Joker in the face and got over her problems in that book.
Yeah, and even in the in that wedding tie-in they had, they like sort of quelled everything in that.
She's been over it for a bit, Tom.
Yeah, a long time.
And again, I know over it is maybe putting it too long, but she's in a far better place than you seem to think she is.
Yeah, she's gotten out from under his thumb and admits it all the time.
Yeah, to which again, some people really argued with me in the comments section where they're like, "Oh, the Harley Quinn book isn't canon." Yes, it is. I can name several instances where events from the universe crossed over. She's had tie-ins to like
Hmm.
other big events. You cannot tell me that it's not canon. She's one of the new pillars. You cannot tell me her book is not canon. The sillier stuff might not be canon, but the character stuff is. She mentions being on the Suicide Squad in that book.
Yeah, yeah.
And no, it doesn't really make sense how she can be free from the Suicide Squad and a member of the Suicide Squad at the same time. But the point is, it's canon and it matters. What was another thing someone said that actually kind of ticked me off? They said, "Oh, well, Tom King wouldn't have written about her growth in her solo book because that's an old book and that's not new reader friendly." And I'm like, "Oh, and Flash War and DC Universe Rebirth and everything else he does reference in here is new reader friendly."
It really is, especially Flash War. Flash War is not reader friendly.
No, no, and neither was DC Universe Rebirth. You needed a lot of stuff that he does make reference to, but no, you can't reference that Harley Quinn thing because that was only from a couple of years ago, and that's not new reader friendly. The pretzels, I tell you, people contort themselves into,
Oh, I tell ya.
and the facts they openly deny. But yeah, let's get off Heroes in Crisis. There were other books that came out this week. What else would you like
Yeah.
to talk about?
Let's talk about the Heroes in Crisis Tired Flash
Yes,
issue 65.
yes, or as I like to call it, the big bat breakup. Barry and Bruce buddies no more.
The stuff that probably should have been in Heroes in Crisis.
Yeah, it really should have. Like their falling out seems like it should have been a big focal point. And hey, this wasn't even written by Tom King, so don't think we're all ganging up on him because this one also had a million problems.
Yeah, but again, those a million problems stem from the stuff he's written.
Williamson was told, write Tom King's Batman, and he's like, I will try.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the ending of this Price storyline with Gotham Girl, where we don't learn actually anything about Gotham Girl that we were led to believe we were going to. She conveniently forgets who is behind everything, even though we all know, as readers, everyone knows it's Bane except for these heroes.
It's such a huge anti-climax because they've been setting up all arc long. Oh, how are we going to beat Gotham Girl? It took the entire Justice League to just narrowly defeat Gotham, and we only got you and me, Batman. How are we going to do it? Oh, she killed herself.
Yeah, she burnt herself out of her powers. Like, they knew that was going to happen. Just let her do it.
We don't have to do anything. That's lucky. But it's like, oh, well, are we going to finally figure out, did she spend time in Sanctuary? Is the mask important? Is that the Psycho Pirate's mask? Is Batman going to mention to Barry that he fixed her mind the first time with the Psycho Pirate mask? Are we going to hear again that Bane was secretly behind everything? No, because she gets convenient amnesia.
Yeah. We're not even going to learn, like, where that mask came from. Like, that just kind of gets dropped. Like, last issue it was kind of there, and then, like, it just disappeared. Like, wouldn't it have been cool if we saw, like, at the end someone pick up that mask and it's like it's Bane or someone, like, it's like, I planted this, you know.
Batman also forgives Claire for everything she's done.
Yeah, you know,
which is really him forgiving himself.
Yeah,
it's all his fault.
Oh yeah, and I absolutely love that Flash called him on that. Like, this is all your fault. You're the one who convinced her to do all of this sort of stuff, where by basically encouraging her to be a hero.
Don't worry, when she's better, I'll train her to be a superhero again. Which again, I caught flack for this in my comment section too, where someone said, "Well, she wants to be a hero, she should be allowed to be a hero." And I'm like, did you not read this arc where she is A, crazy, B, a danger to herself and others, C, her powers literally kill her when she uses them?
She cannot be a hero.
She was also being manipulated by Bane this whole time, and we didn't know. How many red flags do you need, sir?
Yeah, she should not be a hero at all.
Literally, this entire arc is that. And again, that's the book when it's at its best, when it's Flash literally calling King's Batman on his bullshit.
Yeah, and then Batman like throws it back at him with him forgetting Wally, and you know, obviously Flash goes absolutely apeshit at that.
Once again, King's Batman has to be the most unlikable person in any room he's in. He goes for the cheapest, lowest blow imaginable to the Flash by saying, hey, at least I didn't forget one of my partners. And it's like, dude, everyone forgot. Do you not remember? Everyone forgot?
Yeah. You remember this was like this big thing? You were like the button, you know, you were like investigating this. Everyone forgot him. You No.
Yeah, you were there. You're literally blaming him for something that you yourself did and everyone else did. And again, people in my comments section, bat stands, if you want to call them, defending him. It's like, oh, well, Barry started it when he said, what about the next time Alfred gets hurt, or something like that. And I'm like,
he's
yeah.
right. He's right.
Alfred almost died. It turned out to be a simulation in Detective Comics just recently. Also, too,
he's been hurt by the Joker. He had his arm cut off by the Joker. He's had all of this stuff happen to him.
Yes, which Batman does nothing to try and fix. Furthermore, hey, your beloved surrogate son, Dick Grayson? Remember when he got shot in the head? Maybe because the sniper was aiming for you, maybe because he was aiming for Dick. Lost his memory and is now running around thinking he's another dude. Where's Batman on that?
Yeah, you haven't done anything about that.
Also, hey, Batman, your biological son Damien is running a cruel and unusual black site prison where he's torturing criminals. Where are you on that?
Yeah, your very young 10-year-old son left Earth and is trapped on an alien prison. Where are you on that?
Where are you on that, Batman? Again, Batman never gets to have the high ground in these situations.
No, not at all.
Provably, Barry Allen is a better father figure, surrogate big brother than Batman is.
He actively tries to help his friends and when they need him.
Yeah, it's a fight Batman will never win, and I'm sure some people will argue. It's like, well, doesn't Flash kind of endanger the whole universe every time he tries to run back in time and fix a problem? But still.
But he tries to put it back in place.
When it comes to a person-to-person basis, which again, if Batman had thrown that at him, if Batman had said, yeah, but Flashpoint Paradox was your fault, I'd be like, okay, but he didn't do that, did he? He went for the low blow, going after the guy who's dead right now, the guy who died in Sanctuary, which was you were supposed to be running and you were supposed to be looking after.
Yeah, it's your fault he died.
Barry is not the bad guy in this situation.
No, not at all.
And Barry's relationship falls apart too as a result of this.
Which doesn't make sense to me, considering so I've been reading The Flash, and she says in that letter she can't have that life, that price that Barry is more than happy to pay, she can't pay it. I'm like, well, you weren't saying that a couple of issues ago when you were more than happy to join Barry on this Force quest and actually end up in a place that was full of villains. You're ecstatic that you're going on these adventures and everything. That was all fine.
Meh, what's DC continuity in 2019?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense to me. And they kind of just gotten back together as well.
It's weird too because Williamson wrote this and he wrote Flash. If it was another writer, but it's like, dude, you wrote this.
It kind of feels like this is like another DiDio thing. It's like, no, Flash cannot be happy. Flash,
break them up.
Yeah, break them. But they just got back together. No, break them up.
Which for those of you keeping score at home, Superman and Lois Lane kind of doing a trial separation now. They're not living in the same place. Batman and Catwoman's wedding broke up. Green Arrow and Black Canary are assumedly going to war soon, so they're going to be broken up. And Iris and the Flash are broken up.
Yeah, so this is all the stuff that kind of came back in Rebirth is just being undone.
Why, geez, feels a lot like the New 52, doesn't it? Who's running DC Comics right now? Oh, the same people who were the architects and in charge of the New 52? Shocking.
Oh, God.
Everything that's old is new again.
Maybe this is response because all of Didier's fucking New Age of Heroes book got cancelled just before he took over. This is response.
Whoa.
This is response those books get cancelled, right? Well,
Whoa.
You guys can't have anything fun now.
This is his revenge, is what this is.
Damage was good, god damn it. It was like The Hulk, but it was better because, reasons.
Because this is his thing where it's like, I just wanted New Age of Heroes. It's all I wanted, but I couldn't have that, could I? Dan DiDio, DC Comics' greatest supervillain.
Oh, is he ever?
I'm the editor-in-chief, or president, or whatever his title is now. Did they come up with a new title for him and Jim Lee when Jeff Johns stepped down?
I don't fucking give a shit. It doesn't matter.
Again, that's the problem, too. Who's in charge? I don't know. Who's the president? I don't know. Some lady who apparently might be talking about 22 new issues. But yeah, the price, disappointing ending, had its moments. Mainly the stuff with the Flash, helped out by the fact that the Flash writer was writing this.
Yeah, but again, as we've said throughout the last couple of issues of this, he was stuck by King's writing and whatever else like DiDio made them do and stuff like that.
Yep. it was just no fun to read. And again, if you were reading this as a tie into Heroes in Crisis because you were looking for some sort of hint or some sort of tidbit, sorry, there's none here.
Yeah, none here whatsoever.
We tease a connection, but then we do nothing with the
Yeah,
connection.
and they do something at the end as well, where it looks like it's like in the future where Batman's finally figured it out. The world's greatest detectives figured out someone. Again, they try and keep the allure of like who is this mysterious person? We all know it's Bane. He's like someone like is messing with heroes. Any of them could be infected. We need to do research, and that's when
Yeah.
Superman comes in. It's like, well,
Can we trust the Flash?
yeah, yeah, and it's like, yes, you can, you can trust them.
Again,
Just
you're
because he hurt your feelings, Bruce.
yeah. Also, you're trusting him in Heroes in Crisis right now to like process a bunch of the what is it, clues over who the killer was before Booster Gold stole them. So you were trusting him then. God damn it! Everything Heroes in Crisis touches.
Yeah, it just immediately rots.
Yeah. Well, what a bad story. Here's the thing too. I know I've been controversial when I said this before. Where it's like, oh yeah, it's the modern day. What is it? The Identity
Yeah,
Crisis. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't even like Identity Crisis when it was new. I thought
no,
that one was kind of mean spirited as well. Why would you want to do a new version of
no.
that?
Well, isn't that like one of Didier's favorite stories?
I think it is actually.
Yeah,
I think that and Countdown, that whole era was all his idea, which hilariously was a time where we were also really mad at DC Comics and they were, ruining stuff that we enjoyed, which they would have to start with like a whole new status quo after that. It's just a big push and pull at DC. Here's 5 years you'll hate, but then we'll get you back with 5 years you like. Then we'll take it away and bring it back.
oh god.
It's the new Coke model, is what it is. If we get you to not like this enough, when we bring back DC Classic, you'll be all for it.
Yeah, there was a good DC book this week though, and that was Detective
Jeez.
Comics issue 999.
Boy, what a great ending to this story. Even though we called it, I think Tomasi, because he's a really good writer and really creative, he managed to take it into some directions I was not expecting.
He took it in directions again, which is this is what Heroes in Crisis should have been.
Yeah,
Like this is literally like the groundwork for Sanctuary here, and this is what maybe this issue should have been. This is we can use this technology to help people, but of course it isn't because like it's written after the fact and
yeah.
is better.
It is funny, though, that in one arc, Tomasi puts Batman through pretty much all the same things that King has been doing in his 60-plus run, but does it better. Hey, Batman's in an illusion world where he has to learn a lesson. Batman has to solve a mystery and, stop a shadow killer and everything.
Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, this issue he finds out obviously he's in a virtual world or a dream or something, and he learns that he himself is behind this, and the reason it is to test Bruce or make him
Yes.
evolve or die.
Yes, he puts himself into this every year on his birthday, and he's been doing it since year one. In fact, we
Hmm.
get a ton of year one reference and shout
Yeah,
outs here, which blew my mind. Because I'm like, are you guys allowed to say year one anymore? I thought you said for a long time 0 year was the new origin story. Whatever, I like this. Continuity of DC, what is it?
yeah, whatever. It works. It works for the story.
Yeah.
And yeah, he puts him through this thing to remind himself why he puts on the cowl and like and the ramifications of if he doesn't.
It's the full Kobayashi Maru Star Trek. I need to experience fear. Put me in an unwinnable scenario so I can try and Batman my way out of it.
Not only that, he reveals as well that this is like a therapy to him as well. Like
Yes.
this not only tests my skills but also my like mind and like my psychological state and make
It
sure
keeps
I'm right.
it keeps me honest, it keeps me pure, and there's actually a very sad scene there too where to get out of the scenario, he has to bury the little Batman. He has
Yeah,
to bury his childhood next to his parents cuz that reminds like, yes, this is why I fight so there will be no more, boys watching their parents cut down by crime in alleys. This is what I live for. This is my mission. This is what I do.
yeah. They even show like the wall of like citizens who died, which I feel like I've seen recently as well. Like, was that in
Yeah.
another like Batman book or
It did
something?
feel familiar. I like
Yeah,
that though. These are all the people I couldn't save, but these are all the people I will save. And every year, violent crimes in Gotham go down a little bit. and my mission is to bring that number down to zero.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was all really good, and this like wouldn't have this have been perfect where he like goes through this and he's like realized like okay, well, it's working for me. It should work for other heroes as well. So maybe I
Yeah.
could somehow do this and give it to other heroes to help with their problems, and we'll call it sanctuary. It'll be a sanctuary for a good setup.
I mean, I mean, it's kind of the opposite of sanctuary. It's throwing yourself into the fire. It's like a baptism by fire every time. But what's
It
cool about it is
works.
that
It works.
it works. It works for Batman, but I think the point of that is that
Well, I'd
Batman's a
imagine that the
full
system would change depending on
right.
like your condition and who's in it.
What I liked about it is that it's Tomasi basically giving his character thesis for Batman, where it's like, yes, he is obsessive, he is driven, he puts the mission before, everyone else in his life. He's crazy enough to put himself in a simulation that could
Hmm.
potentially kill him, but he does it for the greater good. He's willing to sacrifice everything
Hmm.
he has to, save other people. And also, he's not completely blind, and in fact the best part about this story is that the simulation had an unforeseen side effect, and that is watching Alfred get hurt and watching Leslie Tompkins die reminded him just how important they are to him, and it lets
Hmm.
him see past his mission for a little bit, and he's so happy that his surrogate mother figure is alive, and say, I'm going to try and treat you better now because again, I evolved going through this, I adapted, and I know what's
Yeah.
important now. And I'm like, oh my god, a Batman who learned a lesson, holy shit.
Not only that, it's all of that sort of stuff gives him hope and faith and everything that like Heroes in Crisis is trying to cut out, and King's Batman book is trying to get. This is a Batman who is actually happy and not a
Yeah.
depressing sack of shit.
Yeah, a Batman who's not the worst person in the world
No.
and who actually does know what's important and does try and fight for those things. Because again, but Batman's not Batman because he's trying to fill some sort of role or anything. I'm Batman in hopes that one day I won't have to be anymore.
Yeah, yeah, that's the whole point of this story, and it's great,
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
fantastic.
wonderful from start to finish, so good.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what he's going to do now, especially with a character like Arkham Knight. He's admittedly probably going to make him even better, or like actually a good character.
I mean, he's basically a blank slate at this point. You can't make
Yeah,
a Red Hood, so he might as well make it someone else.
yeah, and he'll make him interesting.
Yeah, plus, we're going to get all those other stories for Detective Comics number 1000,
Yeah,
which should be a big, important issue.
yeah,
So yeah, go Tomasi, go Team Tomasi.
yeah. I'm really he's bringing what he brought to Superman on to
Yeah,
Batman, and it's working.
and Batman needs it, and
Oh
Detective
God,
Comics
yeah,
needs it.
definitely, definitely.
But yeah, so that was that book. It was pretty hype.
Yeah. Did you read Avengers: No Road Home?
Yes,
Issue
yes, I did.
three, three.
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
it was damn good. Really cool.
It is. It's funny. I would say sometimes that the MacGuffin hunt, the Easter egg hunt, is an overused trope in comics, but here it's used really, really well.
Yeah, yeah, really, really well. I was really worried because like one last issue they're like, oh, the shards are everywhere. I'm like, oh no, we're gonna get that they're gonna hunt and fight and then hunt and then fight.
Right? Yeah.
But it's set up really well. Like they're not just in like, oh, they're in this place. We've got to go through like this gauntlet of things. They're in like as we find out, one of the shards is in the villain Nightmare, who's like the personification. He's like a god of nightmares.
Yeah, which
And
what a great callback for this Ghost Rider Doctor
yeah,
Strange villain we haven't seen in forever.
yeah, and as we learn out that like he's being attacked by Hypnos and his legion of sleepwalking people that he's taken from Dreamland and
Which is
used,
a great image.
and they can't be affected by Nightmare because they're in a dreamless sleep, and he's assaulting Nightmare's own dream, which is where the shard is being held. So it's kind of Inceptionist.
Very much so.
Yeah, and then we got obviously Rocket Raccoon, Hawkeye, and Hulk. A really interesting team. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I
being
wouldn't have put it together. I like it.
and what's even interesting is like Rocket's like narration of that scene, since he's kind of come to the realization the Hulk he's working with now isn't the Hulk that he knew. The Hulk he knew
Yeah.
was like a big dumb lumbering brute, whereas this Hulk is kind of smart, and
Yeah.
he's realizes that when he wants something, when Hulk wants something from Nightmare in exchange for them helping him.
Yeah. It's fun to see Hulk kind of become the leader of that
Yeah,
situation.
yeah,
Really, and really talk down to Rocket and Hawkeye. It's like, I'm the only real Avenger here. I will be fielding this one, everyone.
Yeah, yeah, and he won't do anything for free.
No, to where I'm like, ooh, that's going to be a fun side story. Them trying to save Nightmare's kingdom from Hypnos, who they've already set up to be the big strong guy. Who that's headed to a big fight between him and the Hulk.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And on the other side of that, we have Hercules' team who have traveled to Omnipotent City, which was last seen in Infinity Wars.
And in Jason Aaron's Thor,
Yes.
before that, he invented it, and I love it's getting play here.
Yeah, well, it's an important place.
A place where all pantheons meet.
Yeah, yeah, across all realities, they meet and talk and war and all sorts of stuff. And that's where they learn that there is another shard there, and it's with the librarian. And I do like that, like, no one knew it was there because it was hidden under his beard.
Which again, Jason Aaron, a very beardy man himself, so I like that's where it's hidden.
But yeah, we learned that Wanda, having lost her sight, didn't actually lose her sight. She became the eyes of Nyx, who she can only see the souls, which is what drew them towards Omnipotent City.
That's some creepy ass body horror right there.
Yeah, and we met the other two Nyx's children. One who has a fog that can turn like corrupt anyone, which is really cool. And the other one,
Deceit and Trickery are their two names.
Yeah, yeah, and the other one whose daggers basically turn someone mad when they hit them.
Yeah,
they basically turn them evil, which is what happens to Hercules.
Yeah, it can't fault his logic though. He's like, hey, Avengers didn't save the Olympians.
Yeah.
I'm an Olympian. I'm gonna kill the Avengers now.
Yeah, they weren't there for when my people needed them.
It's solid reasoning, Herc.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, real fun comics, some real deep pulls here. I would say the pacing is even better than it was on No Surrender. I think we've gotten way more done in 3 issues than we did in that book.
Yeah, it's chugging along nicely. As I said in my review, there's not a lot of, like, there's exposition, but it's like good exposition where the whole comic isn't them just sitting and then there's this thing over here and we gotta go there, and there actually stuff happening.
It's hard to believe that comic has like 3 to 4 writers on it and that they're all so simpatico.
Yeah, again, No Surrender was exactly the same. You wouldn't even be able to tell me that there was 3 to 4 writers. If you told me there was a book coming out with 3 to 4 writers, I'd be like, uh-oh.
Oh, what a mess this is gonna be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just works really well, and it's just a fun old Avengers story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Almost makes me feel old, and No Surrender made me feel this way too. It's like, man, they don't make them like this anymore. But yeah, what else do we have this week? Oh, we had Invaders. Invaders was fun.
It was very fun.
Yeah, continuing on the whole story of Mad King Namor seeing ghosts. Maybe his mind was tampered with by Xavier, we don't know, but Captain America and Bucky and the Human Torch are looking to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, I do like that he's kind of being used as a villain.
Yeah, a little bit, where it's like, what did he do, and is that why Namor, A, keeps having amnesia, B, keeps changing alignment so much, and C, is a bad guy now?
And it kind of makes me question, like, was that Xavier, though? Or was that someone pretending to be Xavier to get close to them? Yeah, I imagine that's probably going to be like the cliffhanger reveal. Like, it wasn't actually it was Xavier to get close to Namor because he's a mutant, and you know.
This really is too Namor's story. They're telling such a complicated, like, 3-dimensional version of Namor, because it's like, we saw him lose the one human he was friends with in the previous issue. Him and Cap have a falling out, but he's still the bigger man and comes to save Captain America when he needs him.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when Captain and Bucky die, big giant finger quotes in there, and the government's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna give the costumes to some other people. You know, why should they die? Namor gets all pissed off.
Yeah, like, no, this is wrong. This is dishonoring their memory.
Yeah, they were my friends. There will never be another Bucky and another Steve. How could you even think about that kind of thing?
Yeah. Which
is hilarious, because in the future there, him and Cap are at each other's throats, and Cap even says, hey, we've known each other since World War II. Friggin' call me Steve.
Yeah, yeah. I really love how we're like getting all of this, and then you compare it to like where it is now, where they're basically at each other's throats. You know, Namor's threatening to flood the entire world and all this sort of stuff. It's great. It's absolutely fantastic.
it's a great character piece, is what
Yeah.
it is. And again, you talked about Namor threatening to drown the world, which he can do now because he's stolen Hydro Man powers.
Yeah.
I like Morris Bench just shows up for a minute and be like, "Oh yeah, hey, we took your power set and gave it to a more interesting character. Sorry."
Oh, you could have made me interesting.
I know. I could have been the villain of this one. No, you couldn't have, Hydro Man.
Come on, come on.
Your name is Hydro Man. I'm good. I'm Morris Bench. I'm good. But yeah, Invader's really solid. They look to be building up quite the mystery here of Namor and this family on the surface who took him in. I'm really interested to see where it's gonna go. I think this one did a great job in just 2 issues building some real deal stakes because it's like I don't know how Namor is gonna get out of this one. I think he could either die or stay evil or something here. But yeah, the stakes are high.
Yeah, I'm really glad that they've made Namor a villain, but they've made him like a relatable villain, like one you can understand. Like I understand like why he's doing all of this. It has a reasoning, a logic.
A complicated, layered villain, arguably more complicated here than he was in Avengers, and this story like spins right out of that Avengers story.
Yeah, yeah.
So much to the point they even joke about that Cap goes back to Atlantis to talk to him, and he's like, "Wow, this is really stupid because I already did this in that Avengers issue." And even Namor's like, "Wow, you actually came back. That's really stupid." I told you to get the fuck out. But yeah, Invaders is great. Zdarsky's great.
Awesome.
I like it a lot. I feel a lot of people are sleeping on this one, and they shouldn't because it's really great.
Yeah, yeah.
What else did you have, Matt?
I had Action Comics issue 1008.
I haven't read this one yet.
Good issue. It was a good. It was the second part of this Leviathan Rising storyline, which continued from last issue, which sees the Leviathan entity or people. We don't know whether it's the organization or a person, or we don't know yet. But they're going after obviously the secret organizations of the DC universe. This issue they go after the DEO, which. It still boggles my mind that this book is so ingrained in continuity, yet you look at like Bendis' Superman book and it's like, wow, we don't give a fuck.
Whatever.
Because this issue, like the DEO is still run by Mr. Bones, which it was at the end of the last like bunch of Supergirl books that Steve Orlando wrote.
Did he pay attention?
Yeah,
Holy shit.
yeah, they're like, Supergirl's off world, so we need Adam Strange to like come and join the DEO, which is then attacked by like a creature that we don't actually get to see it. We only see its silhouette, which kind of looks like Doomsday. And it fires like a giant beam or something at the base and just blows it up. All while this is happening, Lois and Clark return to the Daily Planet to write a story about Lois hears something is happening, like to Clark's story about Waller and Task Force X getting disbanded and blown up again by this Leviathan. She decides she wants to write a story for the Daily Planet for it. So her and Clark go back to the Daily Planet, and yes, they're together still. People still, regardless of this, still think they aren't together and are divorced and not working together, even though this issue clearly states they are together and they are working together.
They're living apart, though, for some reason.
Well, it's not made clear in this issue, but it seems like they're together. They're still a family.
Whatever, I'll take what I can get. This actually sounds interesting.
It is interesting. It's and as well, the dialogue is written really well. Like it's not written like in Superman where it's like written by like someone with terminal brain cancer.
This feels like the story Bendis actually wanted to tell. Like,
Yeah.
I have a really good Superman pitch. Well, you can't do that right away. You got to work up to that.
It's in his wheelhouse, which is, investigative, street crime sort of stuff.
He's actually playing to his strengths for once.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Lois and Clark both find Jimmy, and Jimmy obviously knows something is going down because he was there when Cobra Cult got obliterated. He tries to tell them, they kind of believe him, that like the stories match up with what Clark saw, so they're trying to take care of him. And while this is happening, Waller meets with Sam Lane, who has taken to drinking because of what his daughter has told him.
Would you?
The interesting thing is he doesn't like say anything to Waller about it, but he does mention that like he's kind of turned the fence a little bit, where he's like, oh, maybe these heroes aren't as bad as I
He's
thought
slowly
of.
changing.
Yeah, yeah, and they both of them are attacked by this Leviathan thing, and Waller, in such a Waller move, ends up like shooting Sam a bunch of times. Like, doesn't like kill him because he's got like his personal shield, but like knocks him down so she can escape and let the creature have him.
Yeah, I don't have to outrun the creature. I just have to outrun
Yeah,
you.
I'm like, oh, that's such a shitty thing, but it's such a thing Waller would do.
Yep, that's her character. Yep,
And
I will cut off your nose and spite your face.
and she turns to the only person who can help her, Clark Kent, who she now knows as Superman. Um,
Ah.
I guess probably because she's probably been keeping tabs on Superman, I imagine.
Also, I'm pretty sure she also knows Bruce Wayne is Batman, so
Yeah,
that's fine. Waller just knows everything.
yeah.
That's fine.
She turns up at their door and wants their help with Leviathan. So that's, we don't know where the story is going from there. I do know though that Clark and Jimmy are going undercover, and Clark gets like a beard. He like super grows a beard, and he gets a name. I can't remember what his name is, but it's a really like, it's like a Matches Malone type name.
Paul Superman.
I'm not
You're not.
I'm not Superman. What are you talking about? I have a beard.
Yeah, and big googly glasses. Hey, didn't Superman have a beard for a little bit? No, maybe. I don't know.
That didn't happen in this continuity.
Yeah, I guess. See, that sounds good. That sounds like something I would
Yeah,
actually want to
that's
read.
the thing. That it just boggles my mind that he'll write like a really great story in this, and yet people he'll do like Superman, and it'll be absolutely bullshit. And like, what the fuck is he writing there? It's the same with like his Young Justice book. That's good. His book Naomi is really good. The second issue of that was
Oh, I
really
heard.
good. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
You know what I think it is? I think he does well when he's inventing new stuff like Naomi, putting his own spin on stuff like in Young Justice, or building on stuff that already
Hmm.
exists like in Action Comics. His Superman is bad because he's like, well, I don't like what the status quo is. I need to change the status quo so I can start writing things I do like. Got to get rid of this damn kid.
Yeah. Well, as well as that, I think maybe he did that just because like, I need to drum up hype. This is my first
Mm,
story, like, and people kept telling him like, just saying Brian Michael Bendis on Superman, that's like a lot of hype. You don't need to
yeah,
be doing any of this. I still want to do it.
yeah, potentially. But yeah, that sounds good, Matt. I'm happy to read that now.
Yeah, it's really good, and this is all going to be spinning into obviously Leviathan and like the Lois book and the Jimmy book and everything.
Yeah, it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm really interested to see where it's going. It's compelling.
Very, very much so. I guess from Superman, I had Captain America this week.
I haven't read this one yet.
Again, did you read the previous issue?
I did. I still haven't reviewed it yet though.
Yeah, so again, Captain America is the victim of a massive supervillain governmental conspiracy.
Hmm.
Alexa Lukin and her forces, I think, have they given them the name? Are they the Power Brokers? Are
The
they the
Power Elite. Power Elite.
the Power Elite? So they've infected just about every level of the American government
Hmm.
right now. They've gotten pardons for a ton of different supervillains, and they have framed Captain America for the murder of General Thunderbolt Ross, who he had been fighting with, and who was actually
Yeah.
pretty easy to frame him for the murder for.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
And Captain America's like, well, I could run, I could change my name, I could become Nomad again, I could become the Captain, I could become any number of things,
Hmm.
or, you know what, let me actually fight this one face on for a change. I know the system is broken, I know it's corrupt, but let me actually fight these guys from the inside, because if
Hmm.
I do run, they'll just make my friends and family's life hell, which I feel a lot of fans didn't understand. They thought that Captain America was giving up, but that's not what he was doing, even though he spent 5 pages explaining what that was. But yeah, this is his first time, his like first days in prison, and obviously it's pretty hard for him because everyone knows he's Captain America. And what is it there? We actually get to see how Strucker runs this prison, and it's really sadistic. He basically picks one inmate at random every day, and then video conference chats him beating the shit out of the one inmate to keep everyone else in line. And he like beats the Wrecker half to death, and the idea being, oh well, the Wrecker's gone toe to toe with Thor. If Strucker can beat up the Wrecker, imagine who else he can beat up.
Yeah.
And like Cap's like, well, do I make friends in prison or not? They're all supervillains, and like Bulldozer of all people, again, also of the Wrecking Crew, tries to make friends with Steve. He's like, we're not so different, you and I. I was an orphan. I've been in the system my whole life. I've been, a guest of, the American justice system. Then I went to war and I watched my buddies die in the Middle East. in front of me. See, we're not so different, Captain America. You and I just have a very different idea of what it is to be American. And I'm like, damn. And Captain America's like, oh, that's a sad story, but that doesn't give you a free pass to be a supervillain. It's like, well, fuck you then. Hey, remember when an evil you took over the country? Where were you then? Maybe it's your own damn fault for being so pure and being a modern day Jesus that everyone believes you all the time, dick. So again, Steve was very sad. Everyone in prison is being very mean to him.
Oh god.
But hilariously, again, they mention Evil Steve. They mention the Supreme Commander. That's who Alexa Lukin goes to see next.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, hey, so we just put Captain America in jail. How would you like to come out of jail now, Supreme Commander? We can do that. And he's like, fuck yeah, I would. And then you think, oh god, is he joining their team now? But then, again, they quickly turn around and it's like, no, I'm a Lucan. I hate Hydra. Fuck all of you guys. I'm going to kill you now. Because, again, we want no more tyrants here. We want no more connections to the past. I'm going to do what the heroes should have done, and I'm going to execute you, Supreme Commander. And it's great. Like, Selene comes in and she burns up his face, and he's, like, dying. And with his last words, he's like, hey, Hydra, immortal. And I'm like, dick to the bitter end.
That's awesome.
But yeah, Captain America is cool. I am digging what he's doing here. Yes, it's slow. Yes, it's very West Wing, but I like it because it's that.
Yeah, it's completely different from anything else.
Yeah, but yeah, that was Captain America.
Cool. I had 2 issues of the recent Punisher series to catch me up on it. I had issues 7 and 8, and oh my god, they're amazing.
I'm behind. I'm waiting till the next one comes out. I'm going to review them all in one big lump sum. But yeah, I missed all of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, so Frank's still in the Begalian prison under Zemo's reign. He meets, in issue 6, he met a nun named Sister Mercedes. In issue 7, he learns that he's had a run-in with that nun before from a Punisher run from 1987.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they actually have panels from that Punisher run where he was in, I want to say it was like South America or something, just like gunning people down and whatnot.
I love when writers do that and that they actually use art from the old days.
The nun, like, because Frank has been in this prison, and whenever like a guard like accosts him or something, he like beats the fuck out of the guard and kills him, and he ends up getting beaten as well. And the nun's like saying like, what you do, your violence creates more violence, and it's like, beating or killing a guard isn't gonna do anything. Like, what's that gonna achieve? And Frank's like, I don't give a fuck. You kill him.
I don't know anything else.
yeah, I don't know anything else. And he gets in at the end of issue 7. He gets like the nun is about to get beaten up, but he decides to take the beating for her. And he gets beaten so bad that it cracks his skull and his brain starts swelling. So he has to undergo surgery because Zemo wants to keep him alive, because while he's alive, Chameleon's been acting as the Punisher in America, just like going absolutely crazy on everything. Just like killing.
I'm happy the Chameleon gets to do things.
Yeah, killing everyone and anything. So at the end of that issue, like, Punisher realizes like, okay, we'll do it the nun's way, and we'll do a jailbreak her way, which is really cool because Frank, because he had like the smashed in skull, he's now bald and he's got this huge scar across his head. And yeah, the Chameleon meanwhile is just going absolutely crazy in front of cameras and everything. Like, he's making sure he's being seen as the Punisher. But issue 8 is really cool because it's like Frank teaming up with the nun and teaching prisoners how to take back the prison by like we're gonna like use ammonium nitrate to like blow up parts of the prison and like seal it off so like we can only go this way and attack the guards. And
he's teaching the anarchist cookbook.
Yeah, but that's basically all he's in the issue. He's actually teaching a class, like literally a class, like a shop. It's like, this is what we're gonna like pretend to like throw up on this thing so the guards have to call us in to clean. There'll be more of us than the guards, so we can attack them, and we're gonna poison their tea and everything. And
that's clever because he's been in the army, Frank, but he's never had like his own team. He's never really had a chance to be a team leader, even though he's arguably cut out for it.
And the best thing is he wants to kind of help all these people because they're like prisoners of Zemo. They're like in there for like,
Political prisoners.
yeah, like talking out against him and everything. So
Dissent, yeah.
yeah, he's more than happy to help them, and yeah, he ends up like taking over the prison and calling it the Punisher's prison.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
it's
funny.
so cool.
That's funny that both Punisher and Captain America are both in prison right now and working up to probably the same thing.
Yeah, as well, they're both like fighting Hydra as well.
Yeah,
like,
really.
Yeah.
I like to imagine somewhere Black Bolt. I mean, he couldn't say it because he can't talk. He was like, I broke out of prison before. It was cool.
And it was a space prison with weird aliens.
Did you see my space? I became friends with Absorbing Man. Did you become friends with Absorbing Man? I mean, you might. It looks like Captain America might become friends with the Wrecking Crew.
Well, he could be friends with Absorbing Man because Absorbing Man's dead.
Yeah. Well, no, he's only in hell, is the thing. He's not quite dead. An evil Lovecraftian devil thing tore its way through his body, but his consciousness is in hell, so But he's not dead. He's only in hell. But very different in comic books. What else did I have this week that was fun? I had The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 16, the prologue to the Hunted storyline event that they're doing.
I haven't read it, but I've caught up. I'm caught up.
Nice. This one's all about Kraven. It's an entire issue devoted to Kraven and what he's been up to in the last little bit.
Awesome. Does he put the dome over Central Park yet?
No, actually, his actual plan is way more interesting than what it actually sounded like. Like that's where all of our minds jumped. Where it's like, he's gonna turn New York into a giant game preserve and go hunting. Nah, actually, what he does is way more genius.
What's he do?
Okay, so this issue is like, what's beautiful about this is that Nick Spencer straight up meets a lot of people's complaints off at the pass, and Kraven literally says, my first death was the best death anyone could ever ask for. Talking about Kraven's Last Hunt, obviously.
Yeah.
One of the best Spider-Man stories, maybe one of the best comic book stories ever told. And he's like, it's really bullshit that, my kids and my wife and dark magic and everything always conspired to keep me from that awesome death, and it's all been downhill ever since then. And he's like, I really got to try and do things differently now, because basically every time I fought Spider-Man, it's failed. I've lost every time.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that's fair. So he's like, I'm gonna move to the Savage Lands is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna hunt there all day, every day, and this is gonna be my big retirement. And the High Evolutionary is there actually, and he's been making Animen. And Kraven's like, oh, fucking sweet, I get to hunt Animen. They're animals and men at the same time. This is like double Christmas for me. And the High Evolutionary is like, stop killing my Animen, you jerk. I'll give you whatever you want. And he's like, oh, man, you know what I'd really like? A son who's not a failure, like the Grim Hunter. Can you, clone me 87 Boba Fett kids? And High Evolutionary's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Just fuck off. Stop doing it. Here's 87 perfect clones. And his daughter's like, this is bullshit, Dad. I'm leaving. So Kraven spends years, basically building his own pride of his own kids. And in the end, only one son remains because that son kills the 86 other ones.
Oh, no.
And Kraven's like, you think he'd be mad, but it's like, oh, you're my favorite, Pasha. You're the best. I love that you killed all your brothers. And the kid's like, fuck you, Dad. I want the car keys, and I want to control your African empire now. And Kraven's like, soon enough, son, but first, we need to destroy our most hated enemies, the ones that have befouled our lands. And that ties it back into all the weird cutaways that we've been seeing.
Okay.
And that is Kraven's new enemy number one is, wait for it, trophy hunters.
Yeah, makes sense.
You would think, but he's like, oh yeah, well, he hates them because they're stealing his thunder, right? Yeah, actually, is the thing, but he doesn't kill them. He's like, look, I know why you hunt. It's the same reason I hunt. We are descendants from killers. You got a small, tiny weekend warrior dick. I get it, man. It's all good. But I tell you what, man, leave now, and I got the best hunt ever for you later. So, just wait for it. He spends all this time and money and resources. And what he has essentially done is he has assembled all the worst, shittiest weekend warrior trophy hunters you can think of. Had Black Ant and Taskmaster kidnap all the animal-themed villains who he dubs the first batch, the Savage Six.
Ah, nice.
Of Vulture, Tarantula, Snake. I know. And he's like, look, so we got all these high-profile supervillains dressed like animals. We got Arcade's barrier tech. you trophy hunters who are all like, rich a-holes, pillars of your community, you guys are gonna pay me for the opportunity to hunt these villains all over the world. I'm setting these up in colorful locales like a fucking Street Fighter tournament.
Oh, that's awesome.
And his son's like, Dad, why are you doing this? I thought you hated the hunters. Like, I do. This means that they are paying me for the right to go and probably die in fights with these villains. So I literally get to clean up on this. And the son's like, well, what did the villains do to you? He's like, yeah, the villains always kind of pissed me off. They dressed in the skin of animals. They didn't hunt those animals. They don't respect the spirits, the nature, the totem. So I'm punishing them too at the same time. And the brilliantest part of this plan is that the only one who can stop them is Spider-Man. Literally none of this has anything to do with Spider-Man. He never targeted him. This one massive plan has nothing to do with Spider-Man. And I'm like, oh my god, this Craven plan is genius. This is so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm like, I am so super stoked for Hunted now.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's a great focus issue. Like, it was a huge task to try and make Craven an interesting, legit villain again, but I think we're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but fun story. I think you'll like it. They're also doing an interesting thing for the Hunted story is that you get an Amazing Spider-Man issue, then you get a Hunted tie-in, then an issue, then a tie-in, then an issue, then a tie-in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they're working it out. I've never seen an event work like that.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that was Spider-Man. Spider-Man was dope.
Awesome.
What else did you have? I think I had like one more.
Let's see. What did I have? I had a couple more, but I can actually condense them down really well into like just one. And I caught up and read all of the recent Star Wars Age of Republic storylines, which is like the big new push they're doing, the Age of Republic, Age of Rebellion, and Age of Resistance. I think we just about finished the Age of Republic one. I think there's one more issue.
Right.
And all the issues, they're all like one-shots of like Anakin Skywalker, Count Dooku, Darth Maul, Jango Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think I talked about the special, which had Jar Jar Binks and all that sort of stuff. But all the single issues, they were basically all just like one-shot, like Clone Wars episodes.
Nice.
They were all really good. We had like Jango Fett one where Jango Fett is like taking his son along on a hunt and teaching him the value of forging your own path and making your own reputation and legacy and not relying on like a family name. It was actually really good. Really, they actually did something with these characters that, just stand around and look cool.
I was going to say all things he'll end up doing anyway, Mr. Fett of the Fett line.
The Obi-Wan Kenobi one was really cool because it was Obi-Wan and Anakin's first mission together as master and apprentice, with Obi-Wan learning that he isn't ready to take Anakin on as apprentice, like it's been forced on him by Qui-Gon Jinn when he died, since he was only a Padawan then, and he's just become a Jedi Knight, so he's not really too sure whether he's ready. And Yoda just imparts him like, Anakin needs your belief in him, otherwise he's gonna fail as a Jedi. Right. So they just end up going on this really brief mission, which I think should have been longer, to collect a holocron, where Anakin learns that he wasn't ready, but then Obi-Wan also realizes he wasn't ready, so they decide to try and figure it all out themselves together and help each other.
Right on.
The Darth Maul one was actually a sequel to like that really short Darth Maul series we got like 2 years ago.
I remember that one. I actually did read that one.
Yeah, where he killed that Padawan. It sort of follows on for that, where Maul is still trying to sate his bloodlust in trying to kill the Jedi, which he can't because, it's at that time pre-Phantom Menace where the Sith are in the shadows and everything, so...
They're supposed to be Phantom Menaces.
Yeah,
You can't be a Phantom Menace if you start killing people so publicly.
So he's resorted to, like, wearing a kind of weird helmet and, like, killing Force users who have, like... either been turned away by the Jedi or just haven't even been picked up by the Jedi because their Force powers are so little, like their force
I know,
potential. So he ends up killing like this like con man guy who's been working for like the Hut cartels, just because he's got force abilities. He's like, wonder if this will like sate my bloodlust. Oh, it didn't. Surprise, surprise. So Sidious decides, okay, Maul needs to learn that there's more to being a Sith than killing and being evil and everything. So he takes him to Malachor, the planet from Star Wars Rebels.
Yes,
and
which we actually saw in the previous
Yeah.
Darth Maul series.
Yeah, and he gets him to like hallucinate himself being a Jedi and helping people, and how much that disgusts Maul and everything. Yeah, it's like, oh no, these people are a plague. These Jedi are a plague on a galaxy that's like been like bought into their lies and everything. And yeah, it was actually like a really great piece, really great follow-on from that. So I think it might have actually been written by the same woman who wrote that story, so it was really great. Yeah, and that one was really, the Anakin Skywalker one was, again, this one was felt more like a Clone Wars episode than the others, where he there's like a planet that's under like separatist like occupation, but everyone's like kind of suspicious because they're meant to be neutral. So they're like, well, why is there a droid foundry on this planet? So Anakin's like, well, we'll go in like with a strike force and like liberate these people, whereas like the Admiral was like, no, we'll bomb them from the sky and, you know, subjugate them and everything. Anakin, being Anakin, ends up going off on his own, and he learns that the foundry is full of slaves that are being put together. And so obviously him being a slave, like he feels for these people and ends up saving them and proving that like,
hey, this is important to my backstory.
yeah, and ends up proving that like the simplest solution is not always the right solution. You know, you could have bombed them from the Earth, but from the orbit, but then the Separatists would be right, would have killed all these people, made the Republic look bad, and that planet would have gone with the Separatists. Yeah, really cool stories. I haven't read the Amidala one yet, which came out this last week.
Right.
But I've heard it's really good. It like builds on her and Anakin's relationship really well.
I'm so behind on Star Wars, but you make it sound so good.
They're really good. I think I'm like behind one issue on the actual main ongoing, but apparently that's going to be ending soon. I've heard rumors that it might be ending soon, which is a damn shame, because they brought back Scar Squadron, which is that really cool like stormtrooper group where their leader wields a lightsaber and everything.
That's okay. If they cancel it, we'll bring back something else.
Oh yeah, there would be definitely something else to like fill the void.
We'll get the next thing where it's like, all right, this happens in between the next set of movies.
Well, that's what I thought like that this series was going to build to, because like we're just getting to like the edge of like Empire Strikes Back, like we're edging up to it. So I was thinking, are we going to jump over that and go to like between Empire and number 6? That'd be really cool.
I would be all for that. Hey,
yeah.
Maybe we'll finally get the thing where it's like, hey, here's Luke setting up his Jedi Academy there.
That'd be really cool.
Little Babby Kylo.
Yeah. Oh, he's angry. He's angry.
Oh, angry little baby Kylo. Oh, I think he's got some problems. That kid. Maybe get some space Ritalin for him.
He's got the space ADHD.
Yeah. Oh, that little Babby Kylo swearing at people on Space Fortnite.
Oh no.
Baby Kylo, is that Empire memorabilia I found in your room?
Oh no.
It's not a phase, Mom. I imagine he was one of those kids. That sounds fun.
Yeah, Star Wars has been really good lately.
Yeah. I guess the last book I read this week, and I'll do it really quick as we come near the end of the show, Shazam, number 3.
Ooh, yes, I did read it. I haven't reviewed it yet, though.
Fun book. Again, it's got this real all ages kind of young adult flavor to it that I enjoy.
Yeah, it's just a fun book.
It's an adventure book.
Yeah.
You don't get any adventure books anymore. You know, we see Billy and all of his foster siblings. They're still in the fun lands. You know, guess of King Kid, who, you know, as soon as you saw this kid, he was bad news.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
He's like Tommy from that Rick and Morty episode. A slightly less messed up version. He's like, oh yes, I came here as an abused child like you, and I had fun and games and candy for everyone.
I never left because I'm Peter Pan.
because I'm literally Peter Pan is what, even though we see that he was like from the Middle Ages and shit, so
Yeah,
he should be way older. Which
yeah.
actually, I wonder if that'll be a twist later on, because as we find out, King Kid, I almost called him King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph, but he's basically King Candy too. King Kid has like a militant hate of like
Yeah,
adults.
yeah, which pays back into the last issue where that kid who just turned 18 was being like chased out of the town by like
Yeah.
other kids.
Yeah, that they Logan's run to him, and the idea is that King Kid's like, hey, these seven realms that you now see it as part of the Rock of Eternity, they had several guardians, the champions of order, and
Mhm.
I'm a kid, and you're a kid. You should give me the word Shazam so I can have your powers, and then I will bring fun and games to the entire multiverse. And at first, the kids are like, I don't know, he's giving us pizza and root beer floats and everything. He sounds like a good guy. Mary, what do you think? And Mary's like, fuck no, this guy's a little weirdo.
Yeah, I can't be the only one who thinks he's a bit weird. Look, he's on like a weird throne of like candy. That's weird.
I love Mary Marvel in this thing that she's the one smart one, she's the
Yeah,
one adult in the room who has to balance everyone else's optimism, and in fact they let that slip where it's like, oh, what do you act so much like adult? Oh, because she's 17, she'll be a legal adult soon, and that sets King Kid off. You brought an adult in here? No. Kill them, my clown minions.
yeah. Oh, they were so cool.
They were, man, just what a fun book, Shazam.
Yeah, and I'm just like upset we didn't really get much of the stuff with like that Mr. Batson that's happening
No,
in
no.
the house. Like that, what the hell is that?
They seem to be spinning a lot of plates. They got that. They got Mr. Mind and Dr. Slavana back there and everything.
I did have a random like theory about that. I'm wondering if like, oh, so like Mr. Savannah and Mr. Mind are like doing like a spell of some type. We don't know what the
Mm,
spell is. I'm wondering if like maybe this is like a spell to turn him into like Mr. Batson, and he's gonna pretend to
right,
be like his dad and try and get the power.
right. Or we created a Mr. Batson out
Yeah,
of
yeah.
nothing to try and to coax Billy out of the house, and then we'll like hit him with baseball bats.
Yeah, into the van, into the shady van.
They got a big potato sack. We got him. Quick, hit him before he can say Shazam. Oh man, our arch foe is a bunch of small children that we still can't beat.
But yeah, no, the series is really great. It's so cool.
I don't know what the numbers are on this. I hope lots of people are reading it because I feel like this is the sort of book that Dan DiDio could step down at any moment. Like, hey, this is too happy and hopeful. What's going on over here, Jeff?
Yeah, have him go to the Darklands and live there forever.
With sadness. I imagine Jeff is like Jeff Johns. He's like barred the door to his office. Like, I just want to write Shazam
Yeah.
now.
Hey, could I see those scripts for Shazam? I just want to look at them.
No.
Yeah, why do
I
you have
just
a pen, Dan?
I just want to write Shazam and be happy. I tried to make everyone happy and everything good, and now look at it.
I think with the movie coming out, it's probably gonna be pretty good numbers.
They're going to at least keep it around for like the movie cycle and everything. Which, man, that movie looks good too, doesn't it?
It does. It looks like a Superman film.
Does it not? I know you said on Twitter where it's like, man, I hope this movie does great, and that sends a message to DC and Warner Brothers where it's like, look, you have a guy doing all these Superman things. Look how much people like it.
Exactly, exactly. And of course, I get called like a Richard Donner fanboy because of that.
Mm, yeah,
Because I would like good Superman.
yeah. How dare you, man? How dare you want good Superman? What's wrong with
Yeah, what is wrong? I actually want New 52 Superman.
Am I taking crazy pills? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Also, everyone, in case you wondered, this episode of the Comic Multiverse is brought to you by Crazy Pills. We
Everyone
all
needs
feel
them.
we all feel like we're taking them sometimes. But yes, thank you everyone for watching and listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. Again, if you're a patron, you'll get to listen to this first before anyone else. Usually on Sunday night when we record this, but sometimes a little later, like when my mic screws up. But that's par for the course. Matt is the real superstar and saves episodes that you would have lost otherwise. But yeah, thank you everyone for doing that. Everyone else, you can find it over on the YouTube channel, the one you're probably watching it on right now at 8 a.m. Wednesday Eastern Standard Time. And then the next following day, Thursday, you can get the audio version on SoundCloud and on iTunes.
Yeah.
Also, be sure to follow Matt and myself on Twitter so you're always up to speed on what we're doing next. We have Facebook pages too, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, everyone. Until next time, I've been Joel.
I'm Matt.
Bye bye.
See ya.